Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. I got game like Kobe, act like you know me. If you rhyme better, well then kid, you best show me. Fly by reckon, never come in second. Fist in my pocket, use my words as my weapon. Ghetto blast thumping, girlies are bumping. Gotta get the dough like my man Donald Trump and set this in motion, jaws in the ocean. If you need a rhyme, well then kid, I got the potion. My name's Harley Neville, welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast.
What's that from?
You will recognise that deep from the recesses of your brain.
Oh, I did, but I couldn't remember, couldn't place it.
From many moons ago, when you listened to it, it's Zebrahead, Get Back.
Right.
Is that kindling some sort of memory?
Yeah, you guys used to thrash it at the Wellington flat.
Yeah, and even before that, I think, as well.
A decade ago.
Even at York Place, our first flat together, it was in circulation then. Yeah, drinking at Shannon and Mel's house, my ex-girlfriend and her flatmate. We used to party there all the time, and that used to crank sometimes.
Yeah, it is a blast from the past.
Yeah, so... that's that. Now, learning from last week, I'm not going to go, all right, Guy, what's the first topic?
Okay.
I'm gonna do what I should do. I'm going to be professional. I'm going to start with the first topic because I had the lyrics.
Because I saved you with editing last time.
Did you really?
Edited out your giant gaps just to tiny gaps.
Oh, right. Thanks. Yeah. The listeners appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, first topic of the week, you and I are both having vehicular issues.
Yeah. We are.
Your car just got broken into?
Yes, it's very frustrating. Now, my car is widely agreed to be a steaming pile of shit. And
he got it for free, though. He got it for free, like
I got it given
8
to me.
8 years ago or something.
Oh, it wasn't 8 years, probably like 5 years ago. Maybe a bit longer, actually. Maybe 7 years ago.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
It can't have been 8. I would have had a different car 8 years ago.
Sure, but okay, 6 or 7. Not bad for free.
Not bad for free. And it's sort of, it's one of those things because it's quite a handy car. It's a station wagon. So it means we can basically put film equipment in it. It's not like the ideal car in terms of so it doesn't matter if you're a bit rough on it. It's in the zombie film and it got kind of treated like crap there. And that was okay.
If you have seen I Survived the Zombie Holocaust, then what you're looking out for is the production car, car that our hero Wesley uses to take a sick crew member into town, and which at some point ends up unable to be used.
And so it's come in handy, but it has sort of over the last few years cost a bit of money. Now, of course, we all know about my dream to become an Uber driver. my new dream to give up filmmaking, become an Uber driver. And so that means that I am actually going to be getting a new car in the not too distant future. But I'm kind of waiting for my tax return to come back so I can afford to get a new car. And when I say afford to get a new car, I can afford to HP a new car and pay off the weekly payments on a new car. So I just got in a new warrant on my car, which was kind of surprising because, I dinted it a little bit a while ago and the number plate is half falling off and is strapped onto the car.
You can't even read it clearly.
You can't, which is illegal. You can't really read it clearly because it's got bungee cords
holding it
on, which kind of obscures some of the lettering. So I thought they were going to fail me on that, but I took it to my sort of local mechanic who I'd been basically paying exorbitant amounts of money to. So they kind of sort of gave me a break on that one, and they pinged me on some other things, but not that specifically. And so I was quite overjoyed that I'd gotten an extra 6 months of this car, and I was like, sweet, well, no matter what, that'll tide me over. And then I walked tomorrow to pick up my sister from the airport, and I opened my car door, which should have set off alarm bells because I did lock it the night before. There was, a bit of junk lying around on the floor. Now that might have set off alarm bells, but normally I have a lot of
shit
lying around on the floor. So, but then I sort of went to put my key in the ignition, and you could see that they'd taken the panel from underneath the car and they tried to steal my car.
They tried to hotwire it
Yep.
and failed, and cut some cables and fucked around with it.
And so basically what they'd done is they'd tried to jam a screwdriver into the ignition. So they completely fucked the ignition to the point that I couldn't put my key in. And then they'd also tried to hotwire it. So they'd cut the cords underneath it. But it seems like they'd just blatantly cut too much of the cords.
And they couldn't reach.
So they couldn't reach each other to hotwire it.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, obviously, they just gave up. Now you may ask, why my car? Why... steal my piece of crap. Well, the thing is, most cars are stolen to do illegal activities with. So they don't try and steal, sort of top-of-the-line cars because, one, they're much harder to steal because they might have alarms and they're central locking systems, and they've got, those things that deactivate the thing if you tamper with it, so you can't move the car. Immobilizers, that's it. So you've got all these sort of barriers. So either you're kind of stealing a car for the car, and if you're going to steal a car like that, it's probably going to be a boy racer type of car, or you're stealing the car to go do a crime with. So if you are seen, my car is seen. And my car is perfect for that because it's kind of old, kind of shit.
It's quite incognito. It's quite.
Yep.
It's not. Doesn't really stand out.
Very spacious, so can put like a whole bunch of TVs in the back with no dramas.
What the fuck's a TV?
A lot of people do still have TVs, Harley.
old people.
Pretty much everyone does have a TV. Still, they watch their internet on the TV, but they have a TV. So anyway, I think that's why they attempted to steal mine, but it's caused a bit of a problem because I don't have any fucking money. And I can't afford to repair this car just to sell this car or trade in this car for maybe a bit more than whatever it costs me to fix the ignition. It's a nightmare. This is what I hate about being poor, is that whenever you you're kind of digging yourself up out of a hole and you're like, okay, I can see the... I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, where I'm going to sort of be a little bit more financially comfortable, and I'm not going to be like all the money comes in on the day and goes out that day, and I'm just going to have a little bit of spare money for just a few bits and pieces to try and fucking get by in this life. But then some big expense will come along and it will kind of completely fuck you in the ass for a period of months while you try and recover from the expense because you don't have any savings that might accommodate such an expense. Like dental bills or your car being broken into. My big issue with the whole break-in is I would have much preferred if they tried to. Obviously, they did try and steal stuff from it, but there was nothing. There was actually nothing to be stolen. They didn't even take my old blue cap.
Yeah,
they just couldn't even bear to bring that.
Yeah,
as a token for their trouble. But my whole thing is, it's stealing from the poor. It's taking from the poor and stealing from the poor. It's all poor. We're all poor people doing this. It's a poor cycle here. So you're just fucking other poor people. Like, these guys are poor, I'm sure. They're not doing financially well. And then they fuck over another poor person. There's no Robin Hood here.
Yeah, but you got to remember, I don't think they care. Whether
They don't
you're
care.
Poor, they don't give a shit. They're out for themselves, and that's what they're doing, And they don't care if you're poor or rich. I'm sure if you asked them, they would prefer it if you were rich. Yeah. But I don't think they give a shit.
Well, of course they don't give a shit. But poor people
Poor people should stick together.
Understanding the poor plight from another poor person's perspective means that they should be like, oh yeah, look, we can't really hit that guy because, you know, how's he going to pay for this? How's he going to pay to fix this, guys? Yeah. Let's go knock the car down the road that looks a little better.
That could almost make it into a poem, The Poor Person Plight. What was it? The Poor Person Plight. What'd you say?
There was another P in there, but
there was a whole bunch of. There was like 3 more P's in there.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'll listen later. Jot it down.
You'll steal that later.
From the perspective of a fellow poor person, whatever it was.
But at the end of the day, you know, in terms of, you know, that is a fucking pain in the ass for me. But you know, I'll get by. I'll live. Whereas you, on the other hand, might not get by with your incident.
Yeah, well, speaking of Uber drivers, as you mentioned earlier, your dream to become an Uber driver.
Quit filmmaking.
I bought a brand new motorbike 3 or 4 days ago now, and it was all shiny and new. I needed to upgrade. I was riding a Suzuki AX100, which is a 100cc 2-stroke engine motorbike.
It's a fucking joke.
Which couldn't go on the highway.
It was a joke of a bike.
I would take it on the highway, but it was very... I was going as fast as I possibly could, throttle all the way open, and I was still going kind of 95. And if there was a headwind, it would sometimes slow me right down to about 60 on the highway, which is just dangerous.
It was a faux motorbike.
And so I needed to upgrade. And so I did. I upgraded to a very nice Suzuki S60 Boulevard, I believe it is. Something like that. And
how much did that sting you?
Well, do we need to go into details?
I mean, look, you just got a new car. What are we talking here?
Well,
it
was $8,000. It was 8 G's. That was mostly my ad money.
Yep.
Mostly my ad money.
Decided not to fix your tooth, got a bike instead.
Well, basically, because my tooth got ripped out and it was going to cost me $6,000 to put in a fake one, but not having the tooth there hasn't really bothered me. It doesn't even affect my eating, and it's it's right up the back. You can't really tell, and so fuck it, motorbike it is. And so anyway, I'm driving home 2 days ago. And I'm just minding my business on Great North Road here in Auckland, and a guy, I've just accelerated from the lights, and I'm probably going about 50 or maybe a little bit under 50, when suddenly this big van just does a U-turn. Just all of it was parked on the left-hand side of the road. It just does a U-turn out over both lanes. And I've got nowhere to go, and he clearly didn't see me, and I just slammed into the side of him, and the bike scraped along the road and left a big dent in his, well, not a big dent, but kind of a gash in the side of his car.
Well, you left a big dent in the side of his car.
And not really sure exactly where I went, but I suspect I smashed into the van and smashed my head on the ground or on the van. I'm not sure, but my helmet saved me. All my gear saved me, and I was wearing the proper pants and stuff, and so there's some padding in the hip of my pants, so that was the main place I got hurt, was I landed really hard on my hip, and luckily there was a bit of padding there, and so I literally do not have a scratch on me, but I can't really walk either. I'm on crutches.
You're on crutches. You went to the hospital.
Yeah, I went to hospital I was just there for about 4 hours and got some morphine, hooked me up. That now I'm on the tramadol as we speak. Tramadol and bourbon diet.
I do think it's a little bit. I'm still not overly amazed by the public health system, which was because I thought because you couldn't put any weight on your leg, and normally that does suggest that something is broken. And I thought it was probably, I guess that it was like a hairline fracture or something. And their test, they did an x-ray with you, which is fine.
And they couldn't see anything.
And
And the girl doing the x-ray was hot.
So the second...
That's very important.
Second test they did.
Story.
So they could have either done...
Because she would have seen my dick, if you think about it. She was...
For sure.
She was x-raying my hips.
Yep.
So they would have seen the x-ray silhouette of my giant dong.
Yes.
So it's important. It's an important factor that she was hot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just thought I'd put that in there.
So... Anyway, now they couldn't see anything on that x-ray. Now, obviously...
Apart from the giant dong.
Apart from the giant dong.
That's why they couldn't see the fracture.
Hairline
they were
fracture.
just too distracted. They were like, "What? Look at this!"
But they should have and so they could have done further scans, which would have meant an MRI, which I think they should have done because I think that's how you'd find that. But instead, because MRIs cost money and time, they were like, hey, let's give you some morphine and see if by having the morphine you can walk around on that leg better and see if it's less painful. But there's definitely a couple of issues with this test. One, if you take the morphine, even if you do have a hairline fracture, even if you are quite, like your leg is quite fucked, it's still entirely possible the morphine will give you a window of being slightly more mobile and in slightly less pain, which would verify their test that you did not have a hairline fracture. Which doesn't, so that don't really make sense to me. It's like, yeah, well, of course he's going to be slightly more mobile because he's going to be in slightly less pain, even if he does have something broken. So just do the fucking MRI and then you'll know conclusively whether or not you give him morphine if his leg is in fact in some way broken, or his hip.
And the other sort of factor is that when I was doing the test after I'd eaten the morphine and I was kind of wobbling around trying to have a walk, I was using crutches, and he was asking me to compare the pain right then, or my mobility right then, with my mobility that morning before I went to the hospital to see if I felt like there was any improvement. And it's like, well, there was heaps of improvement, but it was really hard to tell because I was using crutches instead of I was using this pole that we use to close the windows here. I was using that was my walking stick, and I only had one. This time I was on two proper crutches, ergonomically designed for a person to put their weight on. And so of course it was much easier, but overall I was actually very happy with the whole process. I went in, I got wheeled in there, I got immediately taken to a bed. I dealt with like 10 different people. They were all very nice to me. They brought me lunch. The whole thing was they gave me drugs. The whole thing was just generally, all in all, pretty painless compared to what I expected, which was I expected, seeing as I'm not bleeding or dying, that I'd be sitting in the waiting room for 4 hours, while they deal with more important jobs. But that didn't happen to me. So I was pretty happy with the whole thing. And also, my inclination is that there's not a fracture or anything there either. I think it is just some sort of soft tissue stuff. And the reason why as well is because when it first happened, I could stand on it and I was walking around. It was really painful, but I was putting weight on it. Like it was fine, and it wasn't until later on that I couldn't put weight on it, and that's another thing that made me say, well, mechanically it must be all there. It's just the tissue around it.
Well, I also did caution you. I said, don't get a motorbike, full stop, because they're dangerous. And I said, don't spend $8,000 on the motorbike. If you do get one that's a bit cheaper. You can probably find one that's definitely a lot cheaper than that would 100% do the job. You disregarded both of those things, and also you said, and then I also said, well, what happens if you have a serious crash? Are you going to quit motorbiking then? You've had a serious crash. You're not quitting motorbiking.
Oh, I said no. You said if I had a serious crash and nearly died, would I give it up? And I was like, oh yeah, of course. I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not gonna, that's fine. Well, but this wasn't a big serious thing. This was all right. This was like coming off a skateboard.
No, it wasn't. You can't walk. It was not like coming off a skateboard. And also, for me, this is the warning shot. It's like, look, this has happened twice to you. The first time you managed to avoid the person doing a UE.
Yeah.
But in your time motorbiking, this has already happened twice. Once resulting in you not being able to walk. And yet, here we are, you're just going to fix up that bike and you're going to keep on driving it. It's almost like you'll be given a warning, a sign from the heavens to maybe give up this motorbiking lark, and instead you're going to spit in the face of fate and try your luck again.
Well... we'll see what happens. I guess we'll just see how it all develops.
Yeah.
But yeah, so luckily the other guy has full insurance. He didn't try and run away or anything like that. Oh, and he's an Uber driver. That's what the connection was to the Uber thing. He is an Uber driver. And
you did not give him 5 stars for that particular trip.
No. And yeah, he has full insurance, and so all my gear should be covered, my bike and stuff. And he took me to the hospital, and he picked me up from the hospital, and he felt pretty bad about the whole thing. And overall, seems like a good guy, so I'm not angry at him.
No. Now, speaking of work, not really. you've got 4 days off work.
Oh, yeah. So
as a result of it. And you may be able to get more time. I think you will be able to get more time off because you're not really getting particularly more mobile.
Well, it is definitely better. It's a little bit better today than it was yesterday, and yesterday was a little bit better than the day before. But
you're almost out of days.
Still on the crutches, and I've only got tomorrow off.
You've only got one more day.
Yeah, so I don't know what to do about that. I guess I'd have to go to the doctor again.
Yeah, you just wandered down to the doctor at...
The GP.
Yeah, GP at tomorrow. I mean, really, I don't know if you'll be able to make an appointment today. If I were you, I would have probably made an appointment on Friday for Monday.
Yeah.
Just
preemptively.
Yeah, preemptively.
Yeah.
To get another week, because you could definitely milk this bad boy for a good another week.
You reckon?
Oh, for sure.
It would be good to get a few more days
Hit by a
off.
car, come on, bro. you know, not every day you're hit by a car.
Well, that's true.
You gotta enjoy this.
Well, it's true, and I am still on the crutches and not really getting around particularly, that well. So, I guess maybe.
Yeah. And also I would just throw in gets quite uncomfortable if I'm just sitting in one position for a really long time.
Well, it is true that if I'm sitting at my computer for 6 or 7 hours doing a shift, that might actually be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. So
it's never a dull moment though around the Pigville household. There's always something going on. There's something exciting.
Well, speaking of work, there was a recent incident at our work.
Yeah.
Where one of because I work for a security company, and one of our officers was caught masturbating in his car in like a place that he was meant to be guarding.
Yeah.
He was just jerking it, and we lost that.
You lost the contract.
We lost the contract
because the security guard was literally jerking off outside.
Yeah. And not only did we lose the contract, how we lost the contract was that he was just jerking off in the car, presumably with maybe the lights on in his car.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be quite hard to see.
Yeah.
So he was jerking off in his car with the lights on, and a cleaner who came out of the premise saw him and took a photo of him jerking off and then sent it to the owner of the site.
Yeah.
And then the owner of the site emailed it to us and was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
There's a guy, we pay this guy to keep our place safe, not to be fucking beating it.
Oh man, that poor son of a bitch.
And that's the thing, I think that probably in his head, he doesn't know that everyone knows, because obviously it was meant to be kept confidential.
Yeah.
But there's some sort of stories around the workplace that are just too juicy.
Yeah.
To sort of keep under wraps.
Yeah.
I'll add a few more details about this guy just to paint you a full picture.
Okay.
He's not young.
Yeah.
All right. He's in his mid 40s to early 50s.
Yeah.
Okay. He still lives with his mum.
Ooh.
Warning bells right there.
Yeah.
Apart from that, he's very good at his job.
Yeah.
Apart from that, he's one of our quote-unquote best officers.
Yeah.
So
the best officer you got, jerking it.
Exactly. This is our top man here. And he's masturbating furiously at a car park outside a building in full view, clearly, of anyone strolling by. Because also, just think about that cleaner for a second. So he's got to walk up, right? He's got to look in the car. He's got to see the masturbating taking place. He's got to have time to pull out his phone. He's got to have time to raise the phone up, get a good frame.
Yeah, put in his password, get to the camera.
Yeah, exactly. These are all taking a bit of time. And then he's got to get the ideal shot because, you could take a lot of shots of that and it would just look like a guy sitting in a car. So he kind of literally had to probably go up to the window and have a slightly downward angle on this guy jerking it. And he had time to do that, all the while our security guard, who's meant to be fully alert for any intruders or, dangers for the premise, is too busy wanking to porn on his little Wi-Fi, you know.
Was he? Are you speculating?
I'm speculating that he was looking at his phone, using his phone, watching a little porno clip.
Right.
And, you know, and I think he never was any the wiser, you know. The first he heard about it was later on when we lost the contract and he had to come in for a meeting.
Jesus. And so has he lost his job?
Now, I'll add a couple more things to this.
Okay.
So, first of all, apparently, this is not the first time this has happened.
With him?
With him.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, there was another incident, same sort of thing, but probably not as bad, like maybe another guard caught him jerking off.
Yeah.
You know, but same type of deal.
Yeah.
Right. We have not fired him.
Really?
We have done nothing.
You would assume he would have to go simply because he lost a contract due to his incompetence.
He lost 2 contracts because it was like this big premise, one big premise, and the owner of that premise also owned another premise. So it wasn't just one contract, it was 2 of these huge buildings.
Not just that, but he has very massively affected the reputation of your company
He's
as
very
well. Because
publicly shamed.
Well, because that guy that owns the guy who owns the premise, he is obviously going to be going to other security agencies to find out who's going to take over the contract. And he's going to be saying, don't use those guys from that company because they're fucking literally jerking off.
They'll masturbate in your car park.
I had to get rid of him because he was literally jerking off on my property.
And you know...
He was meant to be looking out for people.
And someone literally had time
He was meant to be catching masturbators.
He was meant to be.
Not masturbating.
He was on the lookout for masturbators.
What was the premise? It wasn't a strip club, was it?
No, it was just like a mall or some
Something
type
like
of
that.
big sort of, you know, warehousey type Mitre 10-y place. Wasn't Mitre 10, but somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, apparently he's totally fine. Even he's a repeat sex offender. He is a literal repeat sex offender. He is a repeat sex offender. This is an offence, right? This is
of a sexual nature.
Yeah, jerking off in public is a sexual offence, right?
Yeah, you might be right.
And, you know, so I can't even remember what it's called, but, you know, it's, you know, some type of thing, right? It's
indecent exposure.
Yeah, indecent exposure.
A lewd act
a
in
lewd
public.
act. That's it. Lewd act in public. That's it. That's illegal, right?
Yeah.
He is a repeat sex offender, and he's done this twice, and he's still working for us, and everyone's like, sweet as, bro.
Well, you better hope he doesn't listen to the podcast.
He doesn't listen to the podcast. But, you know, also, that's the other thing is, like, what do you do? Like, if someone can, like, where does it end for this company?
How
like,
do you get fired?
Exactly. Like, if someone can just jerk off willy-nilly.
In company property as well, because, you know, where does the cum go?
Yeah,
he's in a company car. Where does the cum go?
He's in a company car. He may well, if nothing else, is leaving jizz residue all over the steering wheel, all over the
just from his hands.
Yeah, from his hands. You know, because what he doesn't.
He probably doesn't have some baby wipes with him.
Yeah, exactly. So there's jizz residue all over his car, if not in his pants, if not actual jizz. In there, like
on the seat or something.
Yeah, that he's just, and that is like, you know, another guard will take over that car in the morning.
Yeah,
and will, you know, get contaminated with that jizz.
Look,
repeat sex offender, guys.
I do think that is probably grounds for dismissal.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly given it's the second time. First time, okay, maybe you get away with it. Maybe.
Yeah.
But second time, and to lose a big contract and to drag the company's name through the mud, you know, because they are the frontline representatives of the company. So they've got to be immaculate, not fucking a whack in it. And
good one.
and so yeah, I do think you should go. But look, I'll be honest. I could see how it could happen.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing a night shift, you're sitting around by yourself in a car, you do your rounds.
Yep.
You know, you go for a round, and then you're not supposed to walk the whole time, right? You're supposed to just be around the property, you do your rounds and sit in the car for a bit, do your rounds again. Well, look, what else are you going to do? You know, you're there, especially if you're there like all the time. It's like, well, you know, maybe every now and then. It's just sometimes the urge arises. And, you know, in your mind, you're like, oh, well, look, I'm all by myself in my car. I'm just going to have a cheeky wank. I'm not hurting anybody. Nobody can see me. It's completely private, right? So I'm just going to have a cheeky wank in the car.
Just to play devil's advocate.
And then, but then, of course, if you get caught, it suddenly goes from 0 to 100 because it's I could totally see how it would seem like not a big deal and it's totally an innocent thing. And he's just having a quick wank.
One thing led to another. I started looking up sites and then
nothing else to do.
It was a lot of downtime.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're losing contracts and people are emailing pictures of your dick to your boss. I feel a little bit bad for the guy. Although the fact that it's happened twice makes me feel less bad for him.
Exactly. Jerk off on me once, shame on me. Right? Jerk off on me twice. There's just no jerking off anymore, okay? You can't do the jerk off the second time. So that's the whole thing here. So, I do think it's funny. But it also did remind me, because like a few of the females at my work were quite shocked, obviously, by this gross...
Oh, fuck off. I bet they do it.
Gross misconduct. Well, of course they do it, but they don't necessarily do it while they're working.
Have a fucking cheeky flick the bean in the car.
Yeah, and that probably didn't necessarily occur to them. But it did, I was like, oh yes, the masturbating at work story. This is not the first time I've heard this, because when I used to be a cleaner, right, and I don't know if this one is worse or not, it's probably equal. But when I was a cleaner, we basically took on this new guy who was a creep. He was this kind of, I guess, he was probably not actually that old. He was probably like my age. He was probably like in his 30s at the time. But he was kind of just this quite weird, quite creepy, often would say like very perverted stuff about young women, just creepy stuff as, hot girls were by, but like hot girls that were like quite young, throughout the classic lines like old enough to bleed, old enough to butcher, just like, and all that time you do often call them on it. You go, ugh, come on, bro, what are you doing? Come on. Because he had like a girlfriend at the time and all that. And then we kind of like found out through, and there's the thing is, a masturbating story never stays quiet for long. That's all I can conclude, because we basically found out that this guy is like, well, what happened at his last job? Apparently a cleaner caught him masturbating at one of the sites he was meant to be cleaning at.
What kind of establishments do you work at where these masturbators are they're welcomed with open arms, and they're welcomed with open arms?
Well, that's the thing. I think in the case of the most recent masturbation, our company is not doing well. And financially, we're having people dropping off left, right, and center. People resign. Every single week I come in, a new person has resigned. And now to the point where the infrastructure of the company no longer exists. Like, there is not a sales team in our company anymore. We've been told, right, that until some new salesperson comes on, that all sales calls are forwarded to the CEO. That's the big fucking boss. Like, he would normally never have anything to do with that stuff. You'd send him a report. That the calls are now going to him. That's where we're at. So, it's not looking good. So I think purely they're like, look, we could keep this jerk off on and not have to pay to train someone to get someone new, possibly when the company's going under in a month. And then we'll have some awkward payouts with him and it'll be a pain in the ass. Or we just keep on this guy that jerks it from time to time and we'll give him a bit of a slap on the wrist. And so that's what they've done. In the case of the first guy, and this was I guess what was funny to me is like, this was back in the day before like internet was a thing, right? So basically what this cleaner had done is it's done the cleaning and then it sat down at one of the computers and so
it was an office.
Yeah, it was an office. And this was like and an opening of Pandora's box for like a pervert like himself. There was no internet around. He probably didn't have internet at home. If he did, it was probably shitty ass slow dial up. And then suddenly this treasure trove of an embarrassment of riches of porn, and just at his pervy fingertips, and he thinks he's completely. And actually, what happened there wasn't a cleaner; he was the cleaner. He couldn't catch himself. It was actually a member of staff came in late to like drop off some stuff and caught him whacking it at one of their office computers.
That's so embarrassing.
And that story had to come out in his interview. I don't know whether he said it or when he asked for the reference for the last person, but someone basically had to tell that story to my new boss, and my new boss had to take all this into consideration and offer him a job.
Yeah, and still hired him.
Yeah.
Look, man, Jesus, that's bad. Well, that's so bad.
What I don't understand in all of these situations is like, sure, do that, but just walk to the toilets and do it. Keep it simple here.
Like, yeah.
Why?
Take some precautions. There's got to be some precautions.
Like look over your shoulder.
Like turn the light off in the car and Jesus. Well, speaking of penises and so on, when I went to the hospital, I put on one of those robes where your butt's hanging out the back, and so they kind of wheeled me in. They said, "Chuck on a robe," and they didn't really tell me anything more than that. So I took off all of my clothes, including my undies.
But they didn't tell you to do that.
And put on the robe. And the reason why, I was like, well, A, in the movies, you can always see their butt. So therefore, you're supposed to take your undies off. And B, I have a hip injury, so they, that's exactly where my undies are. Presumably, they want to be able to see the skin on my hip and all that stuff. So I won't wear the undies. So I didn't wear the undies. And a lady came in, a nurse. She was quite hot, quite a hot nurse. And she was like, "Okay, so let's have a look. Are you wearing undies?" And I was like, "No." But I'm sure you've seen a willy before.
You said that to her.
Yeah.
That's sexual harassment.
And then she was...
That is blatant sexual harassment. I can't believe you sexually harassed a hospital member of staff.
I was like, what? No, I'm sure you've seen
Have some modicum of respect for the profession, Harley.
And then she was like, and then she was like, I have. And then she was like, I didn't really know what to say. And then she was like, didn't know if that was the appropriate response or not as well. And she kind of just like stopped and the conversation ended. There. And so she did get a glimpse at my junk. And then later on, I was lying on the bed and a doctor came in, and this was a dude, and he was like, "Okay, so let's have a look. Are you wearing any undies?" And I was like, "No, but I don't care if you don't." And he was
more sexual harassment.
And he was like, "We'll put your undies on." And then he picked my undies up off the ground and put them on me because I couldn't really reach properly.
That's funny. That was the appropriate response from the girl, but she was so taken aback by your sexual harassment that she didn't really know exactly how to react.
By that giant dong.
So she was like, oh, fuck. Oh,
yes,
fuck.
I just admitted I have seen a lot of willies. But yeah, so that was funny.
I don't mind if you don't. Well, I definitely mind. Thank you, you creep. Fuck's sake.
We'll put you out.
I'm trying to do a job here. I definitely mind if your schlong is in my face. If it's all the same to you. You fucking exhibitionist.
What, man? They're doctors. They look at dicks all day.
Well, no, some doctors look at dicks all day.
It's guaranteed.
All depends.
They would see them all the time. Even when they're not treating dicks, they're just, like you're seeing people's bodies. You're seeing all their ass and stuff like that all the time. It's just the way it is. I mean, I didn't think it was a big deal. I was like, man, we've all got bits. This is a hospital, and these are professionals. So look at my dick.
So please look at my penis. Now, this is a filmmaking podcast. It's a podcast about our lives. It's a Star Wars podcast.
Is it?
Yeah, because the new trailer for Rogue One came out. And you've seen it. I've seen it. We've actually seen the thing that we're going to talk about.
Yep.
Your thoughts?
Well, I only watched it once, but it was good. It felt like it had a different vibe to it. A bit more sinister and a bit more kind of maybe a little more just dark and real life-ish kind of vibe than that sort of bubblegum Star Wars kind of feel.
Yep.
Which I thought was cool. I did have some people commenting online like, what's up with Star Wars? The hero is another woman.
Yeah.
You know, there's some woman hate out there because the two latest Star Wars films have heroes that are female.
Yeah.
That is kind of a load of shit. There's such an internet way to respond. Considering the other fucking 5 of them or whatever is all male, protagonists. It's like, well, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Not to mention all of the other films in the history of films, like most of them, so many of them have male protagonists.
Yep.
It's like, what's it a big deal to have two in a row female?
What's the problem with looking at a babe for an hour and a half?
Yeah, I didn't really think that chick from The Force Awakens was very hot.
Didn't you?
It wasn't really my cup of tea.
But was it her looks or her personality?
No,
she seemed a little caustic.
Her looks. I was just not that physically attracted to her. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I was not. She's obviously an attractive woman, but I was like, as far as movie stars go, I was not like, wow, who's that? I got to Google this chick. Who's this person? I was like, yeah, you're all right.
Right.
You would get with me if you weren't famous.
I mean, I'm not sure. That's a bit of a stretch.
You're on my level.
There's asking a lot.
You're on my level. But that trailer did look good, and I will go and see it.
Yeah. Well, see, I was not really feeling it.
I want to know something. I don't really understand when Rogue One is set. So I don't understand where and when it works.
So Rogue One is set basically just before Star Wars: A New Hope, and
is that the very first one?
Yeah,
yeah.
So Star Wars 4, right? So the very first one that came out in 1977.
Yeah,
with Luke Skywalker.
So before that one.
It's set just before then.
I see.
And revolves around the stealing plans for the Death Star, which is a key plot point in the first Star Wars.
Yeah.
Basically, I was not really. I was like, look, spin-offs and cash-ins. I'm getting sick of these in the Marvel universe and the DC universe and all the other fucking universes. So I was like, are we really going to water down the Star Wars brand like that? Are we going to really do that? And is that really, isn't that just going to diminish Star Wars overall? Having seen the trailer, I'm like, you know what? That looks pretty cool. It does look pretty cool. It does raise some interesting questions. I guess the issue is like, right, well, they got to steal the plans to Death Star. Spoiler alert. They achieve that because you've seen
but that's all right,
that movie in 1977.
That's fine, though, because we know that Anakin turned into Darth Vader as well, and we still watched the prequels.
But that was one of the major problems with the prequels.
I didn't mind it. We knew... in fact, I liked it. I was interested to know how Anakin was going to become Darth Vader. This sweet kid can turn into the most evil baddie.
There was a lot of problems, even with that, and with a lot of things surrounding that, is that basically George Lucas had to shoehorn in a lot of plot points, sort of that led to those things, and you could often see just these kind of random asides and random events happening, and you're kind of like, that's not great from a story point of view, but I see that had to happen then, so because it's predetermined. And so, I think they have a bit more leeway with this one because no one knows how the fuck they stole those Death Star plans or anything like that. So, they do have a bit more leeway. My thing is, they better have Darth Vader in it because he is an integral part of the Empire. And he's doing Empire shit all the time. Shit, I mean, he was on that ship that chased down Princess Leia and was like, where's those motherfucking plans? It's forefront on Darth Vader's mind. Who's got those plans? How did they get stolen? Where are they at? What is he doing? So we need to see some sweet Darth Vader action in this new one, because if they don't, I feel like that will be a cop-out.
Clearly in the Star Wars universe, they don't have the internet. Otherwise, those plans wouldn't be physically carried around and tracked down. They just email them around.
That's a good point. It would be like WikiLeaks, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. It'd be exactly like WikiLeaks.
So the hero wouldn't be this badass chick who's like, a bit of a rogue. It would be, what's his name? Julian Assange. It's just some fucking...
Or Edward Snowden.
Some fucking geek that's good at fucking... IP, or not IP, what are those things that the internet's all based on? I don't know, something to do with a deep web.
Geniuses. Tune in here for informed opinions, people.
IP is intellectual property, but there's something to do with the internet that's iPenis, IP addresses.
Right,
I don't know.
iPenis, got it.
iPenis. There we go.
Name of the episode.
Name of the episode.
There we go.
So I think it's going to be pretty cool. You know, like, I'm looking forward to it. And also, you know, what I really dug about it was how they took the Star Wars theme and they did this sort of darker version with piano and all that stuff. And I really loved that Star Wars remix as well. I was like, ooh, wow, that's kind of a cool way to take it. And it's almost like through the music, they're suggesting this is how we're going to take it, you know, as a film. And so, like, if anything, the trailer kind of fully turned me round from being like a total hater to masturbator.
Well,
total masturbator.
That's good. I do worry that, I mean, I had the same concerns that once Disney bought the rights, that there was going to be all of these different Star Wars films popping up, and they were just going to kind of water it down and just be a bit shit. And The Force Awakens really affirmed that for me. It was really just a watered down Disney knockoff of Star Wars, and it was just really bad. The more I think about it, the worse it gets in my head. This new one does look alright, and I'm totally open to the idea of other filmmakers having a go and coming up with a cool story and doing it. So it could happen, but my main concern is that Disney is going to do their thing, which is they are going to say, okay, so Rogue One, sure, it's cool, but we're going to make it G-rated or PG-13 or whatever. So, and then we're going to make it appeal to the widest audience possible, and it's just going to not be very good because they're trying to appeal to the 12-year-olds and to the 40-year-olds, and instead they appeal to nobody. And so I reckon that's probably what's going to happen with all of these Star Wars films. They're not going to make any impactful kind of cinema.
Yeah, well, look, we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast earlier, but I do think overall it's a bad thing. If I could choose to have Rogue One or no spin-offs, I'd choose no spin-offs.
I'm alright with the spin-offs. I'm interested to see what they do.
But, you know, like, it's the death of the mythology. That's what I don't like, you know. So, like, now we know, spoiler alert, guys, if you've seen The Force Awakens, Han Solo is dead. I'm not okay with that timeline. I'm not okay with life with Han Solo being dead. I'm not okay that he went through all the adventures in episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then, or 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then in 7, he's fucking dead, and that's it. And if I think in my head about Han Solo, I go, he's dead now. I don't like that. I'm not alright with that. He was a hero that should have lived forever, immortal. You know, and that's, you know, guess what? Spoiler alert for the next one, I'm making a prediction. Luke Skywalker is fucking dead. He's 100% going to Obi-Wan it. He is going to be killed in a very Obi-Wan fashion. And maybe it won't be next episode, maybe it'll be the furthest episode. But Luke Skywalker ain't making it out of this fucking thing alive. That's not cool. Luke Skywalker was the farm boy with the dreams and the hopes. And he looked up at the two sons and he was thought of a better place. And he wanted to make a significant contribution in the world that wasn't working on moisture evaporators with his fucking stingy uncle.
I think they were moisture gathering.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what it is.
They got to gather the moisture from the air.
His uncle who wouldn't even let him go down to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters. You know, I was that kid in Dunedin looking out at the one sun, freezing my nuts off because the weather was bad there. It was the opposite of Tatooine. It was like Hoth, but I was like, I'm going to get off this rock one day and do something cool and fuck a hot princess who may or may not be my sister. I wouldn't know that at the time.
Well, Luke never fucked her.
He didn't. He just masturbated to her
and kissed her
for 3 straight years before he found that out. It might have even been 6 straight years before he found out. That's a lot of masturbating to your sister.
You wouldn't even stop.
Well,
if you'd been doing it for 6 years and then you found out she was your sister, I just don't think you'd stop. I think you'd just roll with it.
And that's what
the damage is done.
That's what he's been doing for the last 10 years out in this hermit island, so consumed with shame and guilt for masturbating over his sister. You know, everyone knows, like, why did Luke go away? Was it because, you know, like, his Jedi Academy went bad? No, it's because he felt so much guilt every time he saw Princess Leia, knowing that the night before he'd jerked off to her memory when he clutched her in Slave Leia bikini. and saved her ass. Like, that's why he had to leave and go where no one could find him, you know? I've thought of all the plot holes. I've worked them out. So anyway, and so now we've got young Han Solo coming up. And it's like, look, we've seen old Han Solo die. We don't need to see young Han Solo become Han Solo. He was just a man.
And who's going to play him?
Sauntered into, I can't remember. I think they'd picked a shortlist, but they haven't officially confirmed.
Is Shia LaBeouf on the shortlist?
No, he wasn't on the shortlist. No, he wasn't on the shortlist. I can't remember. There's it's down to 3 names or something. But they're all kind of not no sort of huge stars, just people sort of randoms. Yeah. But it's like, look, man, of course we'll see that film, and that's what they want, these bastards at Disney, but it's not right. It's not right for the character. And George Lucas is spinning, not in his grave, but in his bed where he sleeps with his $4 billion stacked around it. But he's not happy either. I can guarantee you that, because that's the whole reason that he didn't do any of this shit. He, at any time, could have made these movies and made heaps of money off them. And everyone's like, oh, you made the prequels for merchandising. No, he made the prequels because everyone wanted it at the time, and he wanted to tell that story. But if you look at the fact that he's never really done any true sort of spin-offs or anything, in sort of the 40 years or 30 years he owned that property, it clearly bespeaks, I don't know, of a man with a high level of integrity about his creations and not wanting to compromise them with, another Star Wars Christmas special. A Life Day at Kashyyyk.
Did you ever see that Star Wars, I don't know what it was, maybe like a sort of a Star Wars shoot-off that was set there was like Ewoks in it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I think one of them can run really fast or something like that.
I can't remember.
And you see stormtroopers with their helmet off at one point, having lunch in the lunchroom. Do you remember?
Well, there was just to completely contradict my whole spiel there.
Yeah.
There was 2 sort of spin-offs.
Yeah.
But they were kind of very loose spin-offs. They didn't involve any of the characters really.
Yeah.
And they were basically Ewok movies.
Yeah.
Kind of centered around the Ewoks' adventures.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, that's kind of fine, because it's like saying, look, don't worry, all your characters that you love are safe. Now we're going to have these silly Ewoks run around. If you want to engage in that, that's fine. So, yeah, and I can't remember what those... I'm pretty sure there was maybe 2 movies. It might have only been 1, which, basically...
I only remember 1.
Which basically had Ewoks in them. And and there's all other stuff like the cartoons and all that stuff. But that, to me, that's totally fine. And the books, all of those things are fine. But if you're going to make movies and you're going to have these beloved people in it, you can't be killing them left, right, and center, or showing them, showing when Han Solo had a fucking, grew a pube on his balls. How did he get that pube, and what caused his pube on his balls to really grow?
They should get River Phoenix in to play the part. That'll work.
Poor taste. Joke made him poor taste.
Always. Look, so last night, are you done with your Star Wars rant?
Yep.
All right, last night I went to a party, a 21st. My friend Miles McDonald was turning 21.
Yeah.
I
said it was a great anomaly that you had any friends that were turning 21.
Yeah, well, it is kind of true. I don't know. Maybe I was just the weird guy from his work that he didn't actually expect to show up.
The weird old guy.
Like he invited me. I used to work with him at a TV network, and he did invite me along, and so I went along. But yeah, maybe it was a token invite, and I was the creepy old guy that actually showed up when it kind of wasn't really expected to actually show up.
That's probably what happened. But you could have negated that if you'd come as the successful old guy with a bevy of babes on your arm, like kind of like the sort of like, this is what you want to aspire to be in 10 years, bro. But you didn't do that. You hobbled in on some crutches with no one, bevy of babes, no friends, no nothing.
No, so I hobbled in. I said hello to him. Had a wee chat to him, and then I had a couple of vouchers for cheap drinks.
Cash those in.
So I sort of
this is where you want to be, bro. Cashing in vouchers at the bar.
So I ordered a drink. a sandbooker on the rocks, and then I had my crutches, I couldn't really carry it, I couldn't really get anywhere, there wasn't really any seats anyway, so I kind of just stood there, kind of just by myself for a while, and then eventually I did hobble over somewhere and find a seat, but I made quite a scene getting there,
Yeah.
And then I finally got this seat, but it wasn't in the corner or anything like that. It was actually like very prominent. It was like a seat kind of right in the middle of the room, and I just sat there. I didn't know anybody else. I thought some of my old colleagues were going to show up, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So I just sat there by myself in the middle of the room, very prominent, and just not talking to anybody, just with my crutches and my drink, and just a weird loser sitting with a big beard sitting in the middle of the room. And a lady came up to me and offered me like a sandwich thing.
Out of pity, a pity sandwich.
Well, no, she was taking them around.
Oh, right.
But I did kind of get the impression that she thought suspected I was a homeless person that had just come into the party, coming off the street.
And there's no reason to not believe that could be possible.
Well, especially because I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't like, it didn't seem like I knew anybody.
On crutches,
bearded, sitting there, eating all the food. It did probably look like I was a rogue homeless man.
Yeah.
A rogue one.
Yeah.
And so...
See what you did there.
So yeah, that was what I did, and then I hung out there. I drank my 2 drinks, used my 2 vouchers, drank my 2 drinks, hung out for a little bit, and then politely excused myself.
Hobbled off.
And hobbled the fuck off. But I had to walk quite far to get there too, because I went from your work, which was a couple of blocks away, which is quite far on crutches, and now my hands are all sore too. So I hurt my hips, and now I hurt my hands hobbling all the way to the party. But I put in an appearance because I'm a good friend, because I'm a good creepy old guy that he used to work with.
That he didn't want you there.
Well, don't invite me then.
Are we going to talk about this party? Our party?
Yeah. So
because we're going to have to wrap it up in a second.
Yeah. Well, there is a party at the Pigville Productions head office,
Pigville Manor,
on the 16th of April. It is a flat warming. It is my birthday party. That's it so far. That's it so far. There's talk of a combined Guy and Harley birthday party. Guy's birthday is a month and a half later. But yeah, so we are having a party. If you got an invite on Facebook, I like you. If you didn't, sorry about that.
If you haven't looked at your Facebook invites, you should probably check that.
You probably should. Yeah, I'll send out some messages and stuff.
I flagged someone who doesn't look at that. Already saved you someone's coming that wasn't going to be coming.
Yeah, who's that?
Simon Ward.
I was going to send him a message at some point and say, but so yes, we are having a party. We are finally having a flat warming. Should be good. Hopefully we'll have some cool stories to tell for the podcast. That's next Saturday, so before the next podcast. Or
maybe we'll have done the podcast by then.
I'd say we probably would have.
Yeah. Well, I think that's us.
All right. Well, you went to a party the other night. How was it? Simon Ward's party.
It was good. It was good.
Ward, also known as the Tower Insurance man.
Yep.
Claim to fame.
It was good. He's actually in that film that you auditioned for.
Yeah, Mega Time Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also found out, I did a bit of intel. So the guy that's directing that, right?
So there's a film being made
for Mega Time Squad by
Candlelit Pictures,
and this director's like a co-production between his company and them. And anyway, this guy Tim Van Dam or something, Tim Van Dam, he's made one low-budget feature film, Romeo, a love story, which is like a musical Shakespeare thing. And he's now shooting this low-budget feature.
That's the intel?
Let me just continue a little bit. So he was given the film up mentorship over me. Now, I've done a low-budget feature film. And not only have I also shot another low-budget feature, I fucking edited it. I'm further along in the process. How in the flying fuck does this guy get it over me? We're exactly the same. It's not a matter of, oh my God. Sometimes it's like, you know what? I see how much further ahead you are in your career than me, or I see how much better received your film was than mine. So I bow before your feet, sir. But this guy is exactly the fucking same. They're just like, fuck zombies. We like Shakespeare better. There you go.
Or, more realistically, he's better at the game than you are. He's doing the networking. He's shaking the right hands. He's attending the right events. He's emailing the right people and, ticking all the right boxes. That's the big part of it. That you're good at all your technical stuff. You're obviously working very hard. You've achieved a lot, but it's all on paper. You need to make those personal connections, those personal relationships with those people in charge at the film commission or at wherever it is, And the only way to do that really is to, A, you organise your meetings and all that stuff, but B, is to work on other people's shit. When you work on someone else's project in some way, shape or form, and you build up that working relationship, well, they think, that guy, yeah, he did work on that, and he would actually be quite good for the internship or whatever, So,
well, yeah,
got to lift your networking game.
Probably. I just think that,
it's a very important part of the filmmaking.
These types of initiatives are not meant to be judged on your networking abilities, but by your body of work and what you're working on.
But that's humans. It's how we operate. It's like the best qualified person doesn't get the job always.
That's true.
The person who does best in the interview gets the job quite often.
Well, or the boss's son.
Or the boss's son, or any sort of connection like that.
No, that's a very good point, but it still winds me up.
Oh, I can tell.
No shit. All right. We got to go.
Guys got to go to work. I've got to go whack it in my room.
You've got to go, because you don't have a car. So you can't do this. And I can't do this at the moment either because my car's out of commission.
What can't I do? What are you talking about?
You can't jerk off in your car because you don't have a car.
No.
And it would be very difficult to jerk off on a motorbike. It's,
where there's a will, there's a way.
That's true.
That's how I had the accident the other night.
Yeah. I guess it would be one of these situations like, you've talked about the fucker bed before.
Yeah.
Essentially, you could insert a fake vagina into the seating of your motorbike. So as you're driving...
I could be fucking it.
Yeah. And you'd be feeling it vibrating as well. That's not a bad idea.
Hey, we're onto something here.
Essentially not a bad idea. But the thing is, it would be very distracting. You wouldn't be doing a good job of driving at the same time.
No.
With these, the pleasures going to your nether regions... from this inbuilt seat vagina.
Also, I do feel like, I don't know about you, but me, I don't get turned on by vehicular motion. That wouldn't necessarily work for me. I might have a flaccid penis put into this fake vagina on my motorbike, but I don't know if I'd ever get there.
Yeah. There's only one way to find out.
There is. Prototype.
The fucker bike.
Fucker bike.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Now, look, if you want to help us, go to patreon.com. I'll post the link in the description I'll post the link on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GuyandHarley. Go to patreon.com if you want and search Pigville and find us. We got paid from our patrons, our very generous, kind, benevolent patrons. Thank you. It came to $6.
Thank you very much.
Total.
That's great.
Which is great. That's an awesome start, and that's just sitting there in the bank now, building up. Combine that with our YouTube earnings, we're rolling in green. So thanks so much to our two patrons, and if you guys want to join them, if you want to become officially a what's that name for a rich person that does nice shit with money?
A mysterious benefactor?
No, like Iron Man. He's a
philanthropist.
If you want to be a philanthropist, go to patreon.com and help us.
Iron Man, the best known philanthropist in the world.
Apparently, yeah.
Not Richard Gates or Branson or anything.
No.
Who's that guy? Iron Man, Iron Man. He gives money to everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
So go find Patreon, and thank you very much for listening.
See you later.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley Podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.